Hey, and welcome to the Sauce and Gravy channel. Johnny Mac here, the gravy guy. Comfort food. There's not much better. One delicious recipe, hamburger gravy. So I'm going to help you out. I'm going to walk you through step by step how to make a flavorful hamburger gravy. It's easy to make, it's amazingly hearty, of course it tastes great. And you know what? There's nothing bland about it. So let's begin. Round up a saucepan, preferably one with high sides. Put it on a burner over medium to high heat and drop in 1 tablespoon, 14 grams of butter and 1 tablespoon or 15 milliliters of a neutral oil of your choice. Melt that butter down and get your ground beef ready. For this recipe, I'm using 1 pound or 500 grams of lean ground beef, 93% lean. I like my hamburger gravy to be tasty and not greasy. However, there's no right or wrong way. There's only the tasty way. If you like ground beef that has a higher fat content and you find that more tasty, well then go for it. Use it. That's the magic of making a homemade gravy. You can make it how you like it. This step of the gravy making process is fairly self-explanatory. Round up a flat bottom spatula and start breaking that meat up into small bite-sized pieces. Your burner should still be over medium to high heat. There's also another technique that you can use to break up the ground beef, and people swear by it. They say it's the best way to do it. I'm not too sure about that, but you tell me what you think. But this is what they say. Throw the ground beef, into a cold pan. Don't turn on the heat. Snag a flat bottom spatula or something to break up the meat and break it all up, and then turn on the heat. I've tried this. It works fine. However, I don't see that as any different than throwing the meat into a hot pan. So let me know what you think. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's true? Do you think it's better to put it into the cold pan or throw it into a hot pan? At any rate, however you like to cook the meat, once the meat has just a slight touch of red, then you're ready to move on to the next step of the process. And while this cooks away, it would be a perfect time to smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to stay tuned to the latest and greatest sauce and gravy making tips and techniques. And if you find these recipes helpful, or if you think someone might find them helpful, please consider making a donation. Remember, these videos are free for you to watch, but they're really not free for me to make. I'll put a link in the description section below if you'd like to make a donation, and remember, a little bit really does go a long ways. I'm not part of a big company, it's just you, me, and the sauces. Thank you for your support. So check it out. This is about right where you need to be, and notice that there's not that much grease in the bottom of the pan. There's just enough to cook those onions. I happen to be using half of a cup of chopped white onion. That's about 63 grams. A sweet onion or a Valdelia onion would work perfectly fine with this recipe, and you can chop them however you like them. If you want half moon shapes, go for it. The important thing is to cook the onions until they're translucent and tender, and make sure that the meat is cooked all the way through. It should all take about the same amount of time. Here you go. This is what you want it to look like. Everything's cooked to perfection, of course, and notice there's not much fat or grease in the bottom of the pan. All right, quickly moving right along, it's time to add our thickening agent, flour. 3 tablespoons, 24 grams of all-purpose flour. It's easiest just to sprinkle it on top of the ground beef mixture and then grab your spatula or spoon, something to stir with, and mix it all together. For this step of the process, you don't want to burn the flour or any of this mixture, so you want your burner to be between low and medium heat. Make sure to stir that flour into the beef mixture really well. Cook it for about 2 to 3 minutes, and what you're making is more or less a glorified roux. Yep, that's right. You're mixing all of the oils that are in the pan with that flour to make that roux. It looks perfect. Now it's time to start building flavor. And because most of us don't have hours upon hours to reduce down to stock, we're going to start building flavor with bouillon. Beef bouillon, 1 teaspoon, drop it in. It's quick, it's easy, and it's going to add deliciousness to this hamburger gravy. Quickly mix it all together and make sure not to burn anything. If it starts to get a little bit brown on the bottom of the pan, you can lift the pan off the burner like I'm doing and mix it all together and get ready to move on to the next step. Drop in 1 cup, 250 milliliters of milk. Any type of milk will do. Your burner, it should be over medium heat. Grab a flat bottom spatula or a spoon, scrape the sides and bottom of the pan, incorporating any bits and pieces on that pan up into the liquid. You also want to get that liquid well incorporated into the meat mixture to activate that flour to begin that thickening process for the hamburger gravy. After about 1 to 2 minutes, it's time to move on to the next step. And I personally really like this step. However, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. I'm going to add 1 cup or 250 milliliters of heavy cream. And if you don't want to use heavy cream, just skip this step. You could just throw in 2 cups of milk from the beginning and you'll be perfectly fine. But how can you resist the creaminess? Check it out. Slow-mo, creaminess, deliciousness, heartiness. Your burner, it's still over medium heat. Give it a mix. Just make sure it's well incorporated and cook this for about 2 to 3 minutes until it starts to thicken up. But wait, there's still more. Before it starts to thicken up, you're going to add a few more things. First off, what's it sauce? 1 tablespoon, 15 milliliters, drop some in. The next ingredient, you probably really haven't thought about adding it to a hamburger gravy, but trust me, it adds tons of taste. Soy sauce, I happen to be using low sodium soy, but regular will work just as well. 1 teaspoon. This is not that complicated of a recipe. It's very easy to make. All the items readily available. You probably have them in your pantry. You're looking at ground beef, onions, flour. What's it called sauce? You gotta have some of that. Soy sauce, milk, cream, oil. Just throw it all together. Bam, you got a big family meal. You can throw it over some mashed potatoes, put it over noodles, throw it over French fries, whatever you want. Or you've got a meal for one if you're really, really hungry. At this point of the process, you're nearly done. Bring that sauce to a simmer. Once it starts to simmer, you can turn down the heat. But you're just marrying the flavors, you're bringing them all out, and you're thickening up the gravy. So check it out. This is the consistency that you should be shooting for. Before you serve the sauce, you always want to give it a taste. Taste it, see if you need to adjust the seasoning. You might want to add a dash of salt, maybe crack in some black pepper. So that's it. Not too difficult at all. You can make this in a matter of minutes and have a delicious comfort food. That right there is how you make hamburger gravy, one that's tasty and not bland. Oh yeah, and this meal, it's also fairly inexpensive to make. And with grocery prices being out the roof these days, you can't beat a cheap meal, especially whenever it's tasty. Thanks for watching the Sauce and Gravy channel. If you enjoyed this recipe, be sure to hit that like button. Remember, it's just you, me, and the sauces. See you on the next episode. Until then, keep whisking, y'all.